Today, I'm going for our first run on the New Balance Beacon version 3. 5.36 miles, 8 minutes, 49 seconds per mile, 142 beats per minute today. Going for a nice, easy recovery run in some cold and icy conditions, 15 degrees Fahrenheit at the start of my run today. And even though it wasn't snowing today, and it snowed earlier in the week, and it's been melting and refreezing, everything's kind of packed down and a lot slicker now than it was a few days ago when it was out there snowing. But I still had a fantastic time testing out the New Balance Beacon version 3. Now, before I give you my thoughts on this shoe after just the first run, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Roadrunner Sports. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So, with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the New Balance Beacon version 3. So new for this year, I think the big headline for the Beacon 3 is that we're now getting Fresh Foam X, 23 millimeters of stack height of that Fresh Foam X material in the midfoot, and a 6 millimeter drop, bringing us up to 29 millimeters of stack height in the heel. On the outsole, you're running mostly on that Fresh Foam X material with only just the tiniest bits of rubber in the heel and in the forefoot. This year, though, the tread pattern has changed from what it looked like last year. And so there are more kind of like channels built into these pods that you're running on. And so I think that is going to help, at least in wet conditions. And even today, I was slipping around a little bit, but usually only intentionally so. And I felt pretty sure-footed for the rest of my time out there on the run. Now, I think overall, in talking about this shoe, though, I feel like the best way to describe what they've done with the New Balance Beacon version 3 is that they've really toned down the upper in a great way, and they've turned up the midsole also in a really great way. Let's talk about this upper first. In the upper, we've got a similar mesh material, but this year, I don't know, maybe it's just this color or maybe the fact that they've like kept the design really clean up in the forefoot. It just seems more like a booty this year than it does a mesh, but it definitely is still a mesh. That stays the same this year, but I just think that this year it's even cleaner. Really, really nice. I'm a big fan of black shoes. In the midfoot cage area, you've got a little bit of these kind of like shiny, like laminated overlays on here, going with like a little animal print that extends all the way through the heel, where you get a third kind of material as well. You've got this kind of like a neoprene booty construction in the back here, which from the looks of it, there's not a lot of rigidity, and there's this giant Achilles flare in the back, which makes it, to me, look like this is going to be a really loose in the ankle and in the heel kind of shoe, but somehow they're making it work. There's a couple of pads right inside on the inner part of that heel cup that help keep everything really snugly locked down without adding a lot of armor that's going to add weight or rigidity that I generally tend not to really appreciate. So I'm loving what they're doing back here. I'm not a huge fan of this kind of like wrinkle design. It just looks like a pouty face to me, or like an elephant trunk in a way. It's just the wrinkles, there's something about it that's just visually, just I get a gut reaction to it. But overall, it seems to be much more trimmed down from last year's low poly look, which I did love that look, but that made the shoe seem unnecessarily big. The shoe seems much smaller this year, and I'm overall, despite the wrinkly face in the back, I am really enjoying what's going on in the upper. The tongue is just a minimal tongue, nothing to it there, exactly what I'm looking for a tongue. Now let's move over to the midsole, which I mentioned earlier was made out of Fresh Foam X. Now Fresh Foam X is a material that I saw first in the New Balance 1080 version 10, which put into kind of like a max cushion shoe type of implementation, made it a very springy, very bouncy foam that also was able to absorb the impact of all those road miles. Here, it's not as bouncy. So to think of it as kind of like a smaller 1080 V10 isn't really the right way to look at it. I think the overall sensation of it is that you're not getting a springy sensation. You're not getting a kind of a cushion sensation from it. I think it's hard to explain it, but the sensation that I get from this shoe is that I'm not getting a sensation from this shoe. And I'm not trying to say that it like super insulates me from the road. I'm still getting a lot of road feel. I'm still feeling very connected, but I'm not feeling any of like the impact from it. And I'm not sure how it's doing it, but Fresh Foam X, when it's used in a little bit slimmer of an implementation, at least compared to the 1080 V10, using this daily trainer sack setup, is really, really nice. It makes you feel nimble on your feet. It makes you feel graceful as a runner. It makes you feel lightweight. And I just think it's extremely versatile, pleasant running experience. At my easy paces, it just felt effortless. I even picked it up just for a little bit. Today is more of a recovery day for me, but I did pick it up for a little bit just to see how it would feel in this shoe. Getting up to marathon pace and a little bit faster than that felt really great. Felt effortless to be up there at those faster paces as well. It could feel just as comfortable at marathon pace as it feels at recovery pace, and there's not a lot of shoes that I could say that for. The Beacon in prior years is a shoe that I've been able to use for speed work on the track as well as 20-mile long runs. We'll see if that's still the case for the Beacon 3, but I anticipate that it is going to be. Overall, I think this is just an absolutely fantastic shoe. It's a shame that I'm reviewing it in December. It's been out for a couple of months now. I just haven't been able to get to it till now. But I also don't think it's completely my fault that I'm getting to it so late in the year. This is a shoe that always comes out a little bit later in the year than I think it should. This year, it did come out, at least in the UK and other international markets, in June. But in the US, it didn't release until, I think, September. And I think that's just way too late in the year for this shoe to be releasing. I feel like it's something that really needs to get put out at a time when people are just starting to think about running for the year as temperatures start to warm up. And then I think that this shoe would sell just way more units. I'm not a pricing guy. I'm not in the retail industry. Maybe I'm completely way off on that, but I would love to be able to get my hands on this like April, May, so I could run with this shoe in the summer months. It's lightweight. It doesn't feel like it's a hot shoe. I feel like I could get a lot of really great summer miles on it. The only critique that I really have over the shoe is I'm not getting it earlier in the year because I want to be putting more miles in it when the weather is a little bit more hospitable. So those are my thoughts so far on the New Balance Beacon version 3. After just the first run, you can be assured that I'll be putting a lot more miles in this shoe. It is absolutely fantastic. They didn't ruin it. In fact, they made it even better for this year. So let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day here on YouTube, 3 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to talk to you guys about it there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?